Captain Cope here. Got a new build to show off. It's a level 80 quality build with a little bit of faith. I started as a confessor and brought it up to 80. I basically started this build because there's a lot of weapons that are pretty much quality weapons but have a little bit of a faith requirement. So that's why this build came to be. Didn't level any faith, just kept the base faith, and I'm using the imp head and the commoner garb, which gives me an additional 3 faith altogether. And then the rest of the points went into vigor, 50 vigor, which, you could probably get away with less, but I'm comfortable with that amount. And then pretty much even strength and dex. In my physic, I got the plus 10 dex, plus 10 strength. And this build, it can pretty much do it all. It's got everything I like to have as an invader. It's got the Greatbow and the stormhawk axe, which are basically essential invader tools in my opinion. Always like to have them on a build. You don't need the Greatbow, but you pretty much always want a cannon of some sort for people who are being passive or won't move. But, what's not to love about this? You can kill your opponent before you even approach them. Shooting people off cliffs never gets old to me. It's always good stuff. Stormhawk axe, fantastic for people who are thirsty. You could also use something like Black Flame Tornado for people who are just rushing you down, will back off. And ambushes like this, hysterical. You could activate that Ash of War while he's still in the air. That poor guy probably didn't even know it hit him. And this is definitely not the most powerful meta, desecrate your enemies, rule the world, be the Tarnished Lord build. This build's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. I don't have many options for high damage, like as you can see the Magma Curve Sword, which I'm using right now. Damage, not that impressive, but at this level range, or most level ranges to be honest, you're much better just putting all your points into one damage stat, as opposed to, trying to do multiple. But that's not what you make a quality build for. Quality builds, where they really shine, is their versatility. So many different things you can use, lots of different weapons, and that's really why you do it. So I really like having a bunch of different tools, have access to buffs, like magic fortification, absolutely essential with the amount of players that use magic in this. Makes Moonveil less of a nuisance to deal with. Bestial Vitality really helps carry you through those longer drawn out invasions. And I've been absolutely loving the Magma Curve Sword. I was kind of put off from curve swords for a while when the L1 running attack spam with the bleed curve swords was the meta. But with their buff, they are a lot of fun. You can apply a lot of pressure with them, be really aggressive. I prefer playing with just one personally. It's like having a parry shield, so it's fun having that sword on board. And these guys, they're gentlemen. They're letting me back off, heal up, which, never let anyone do that. Just keep that pressure. Having a really good time fighting this host. Just need to carry a Night Sword, I believe it's called. Carrying Grandeur on it. It's a very hard Ash of War to land, but does crazy damage if it does. He loses some points in my book for using Star Shower. I hate that spell. And of course he had a Phantom with him. It's never just one. Should never expect it to be one. Get a parry here. This is actually a really easy weapon to parry once you know it is. People who use dual greatswords, it's been very reliable for me to roll their first swing and then parry out of it. That was such a mistake jumping there. I got punished so hard for it, and that backstab was absolutely clutch. It's pretty much one hit away, and the iframes of that backstab really saved my ass. Look at the pressure I'm able to apply with the curved sword. Really nice speed. Not letting him heal. Just keeping that pressure on. And then, next part of it I just fast forward through because I'm pretty much just chasing him around through the poison. But this is probably the, I guess, 3rd or 4th build I've made in this game. And I would make more, but it just takes so long to make a build. It's like, don't get me wrong, I love the PvE of this game, fighting the bosses, ton of fun. But the open world, it just stretches it out so much. You spend so much time just riding through open fields, picking up all those stupid golden seeds. And, the repeat bosses, it's like, after you play the game a couple times, it's like, fighting the a tree avatar for like the 15th time. It loses its appeal a little bit. And anyways, I digress. There's a lot of things I want to try out in this game. A lot of builds I want to try. but just the sheer fact of how long it takes to get a build together kind of puts me off from it. But very happy now that I got a new build together. It's kind of become one of my favorites just because it's got so many different tools, a lot of fun weapons on it. And 80 has been a great level range. Activity is good. High damage for sure. Definitely feel it more in the lower levels, but it's not like off the charts like the higher levels. And this guy got me good with the helicopter. That was pretty efficient. My reaction was just to block. I got guard broken and punched severely for it. But these are just some honest level 80 Limgrave players. No shenanigans going on here. I think 80 is probably a good level for Limgrave. It's a pretty hard area. Want to make sure you're appropriately leveled. Didn't fall for the helicopter that time. Loving the R1 to R2. A lot of people fall for it. Able to jump over the helicopter there. Hit him with that slam. What's funny about Mr. Guts 1000 here is I invaded him like 3 times in this session, and each time it was one more person. Like first time on his own, this is the second time. Third time I invaded, he had a full squad with him. I lost his other 2 clips, so it was funny to put in. And co-invader shows up just in time to see my parry. Glad someone got to see that. I'm sure if anyone's ever recorded themselves talk or make a video, they could relate. But the amount I say and then, and so, it's ridiculous. Like, I sound brain dead. I'm pretty sick right now. I'm gonna blame it on that. It's definitely not all the concussions I had or the weed I smoke. Nah, can't be either of those. It's gotta be because I'm sick. Anyways, Lake of Rot. Horrible place to invade generally. Does this place stink or what? Am I right, fellas? Alright, tough crowd. But one of the downsides of 80 is that seems to be around the level that people like to come through the Lake of Rot. And usually don't even get to fight people. Pretty much just die before you get to them. Or I'll just stand on like a platform and try to snipe at them with something. Because I don't want to cross through all the rot. And like, especially if you have limited boluses, I'm a dirty duper. So I got a ton of them, so I can just eat through them on my way over. But if you have a limited amount, it's like not really worth it using them all to get to wherever your opponents are. This is actually a pretty fun fight though. A little bit of latency, actually not even a little bit. The Phantom here is pretty laggy, but it's manageable, not too bad. Host have a decent connection to him for the most part. Gotta love a backstab. Backstab there, Captain. Thank you. Complimenting myself. So this is pretty fun. Small platform, pretty stressful. I knew there was a hunter on the way. The ideal situation would be he just dies on the way over and I get an Estus refill. This host is doing pretty good damage, so I gotta respect that. Bloody Slash. It's an Ash War I have a really hard time dealing with for some reason. I don't know why. It's just something about my brain can't handle it. And getting comboed there into the Blasphemous Blade, which is really tough to deal with in like a small space like this. And then he's got Odorvius' Greatsword, the Phantom, and that's another, big area of effect. So just dodging around here, and it's getting pretty hectic. And I got to deal with Rot on top of that. A pretty tough spot to be in. And eventually I decide that, I'd be better off if I bail, because I'm getting pretty low on flask at this point. I had to switch to the Erdtree's Favor. I'm sure you saw that at some point, but I don't have the equip load to have that on without having the Erdtree's Favor. So, I see the blue showing up. I decide I gotta get out of here. Make a little space for myself. So if my build was complete at the time of this invasion, I would have had the Greatbow on me. I could have hung out here, shot at them with the Greatbow. Would have been the ideal move. Instead, cast some spells with them. Use that Ash War a little bit, try to bait him over. And so that's why I sped this up. I was waiting here for a little bit. So blue has a sense of duty. Doesn't suffer from main character syndrome. Comes on over here to fight me. And I knock him down in the rot, which is not good. He rotted to death. Host came after me, which is strange. It's like, when they die, it's all over. Should have sent the Phantom over instead. But whatever. Got 2 Estus back. And no, I will not call it cerulean flasks or whatever the hell they are. It's like, it's been Estus. It's the same thing. I'll try George R. R. Martin's only contribution. It's like, yeah, just change from Estus to whatever the hell it's called. Nice work. Anyways, I ate one of those meat dumplings over there since I was out. I feel like I put too much into this invasion, had to win it. And I feel like we gotta be getting low at this point. Got the Phantom with a roll catch, and then I guess I was feeling petty here for some reason. But basically I just wait this host out while the rod dwindles him down. Connection was a little sketchy. I was trying to outspace his greatswords, but Phantom range kept getting to me. So he rots to death. GG's. It was actually a really fun invasion. I find myself at the Academy of Raya Lucaria once again. I feel like I'm always ending up here. But this is a good example of how fantastic the PvP in this game can be when you actually have a good connection. You know, a lot of people want a ping filter. I do as well. There's all these grandiose ideas of what we'd like this game to be, but unfortunately, it is what it is. Latency is just part of the game. It'll probably always be part of it. So, it is what it is, and it just makes when you get a good connection extra special. Look at that, land a fully charged R2, pretty rare. I missed a parry here, but I just backstab instead. I have never done that before. I don't think I've really seen any people do it before. I think what happened there was he immediately went for a swing, and I was already strafing for the backstab, so I was able to punish him for it since we're on a good connection. And that's got to be the most punishable Asher War in the game. The Bloodhound's Finesse, I think it's called. Yeah, it sounds right. And not a lot of poison in this build, so katanas are a serious threat. We're only have 38 boys, so get stunned by katana. And the katana also outranges my curved sword here. So the smart move would have been switch to something else, you know, with a little more range, but I'm just kind of dedicated to using this weapon at this point. Wanted to make it happen. Tough matchup for me. Not a lot of resistance either with this armor, so I gotta watch for that bleed meter. Also, a big shout out to this host for standing and fighting. You know, he was about it. I don't think he was someone who really PvP'd, but he was willing to put up a fight. He could have walked that fog wall pretty easily. Stood his ground. You know, even after his Phantom died, gotta respect it. And I absolutely blunder my bolus there. This backstab here was so hype, and it's something I've pulled off a couple times. Usually seems to only happen on good connections, but man, do I love being able to backstab unsheath when it happens. And another unfortunate thing is it's raining, so my catch flame damage as well as my Magna Sword damage is taking a hit from that. Really awesome feature. So glad that they added that in a game where it's always raining. You're always fighting in water. And get another one on the unsheath. That one probably wouldn't have gotten, but he was starting up as another swing, so I was able to punish him for that. And then cut this down a little bit. It's a lot of me just backing off to bolus up and heal, or him doing the same. And that R1 spam for the katana when you have no points, it works well. And I get a nice roll chain catch on this guy. With the speed of the curved sword now, you could really punish panic rolls. A lot of fun. This video ended up a lot longer than I anticipated. Actually, had a lot more clips that I ended up not putting in, so hopefully those of you who watch my videos like this build and like this level range, because there'll be a lot more coming. And this last invasion at the Volcano Manor. It's already in here for, I don't know, a little bit with these guys, just chasing them around. And that Asher War did huge damage to me right there, so definitely a little bit intimidated. I'm using the Michaela's Night Sword, which is a absolutely swagged out weapon, so stylish. It's got this unique R2 where you drag it across the ground. Just a very stylish weapon, and I've been liking Sword and Board. These guys, two greatsword users, which it's always a little bit sketchy fighting two at the same time because you can kind of get like comboed into one another. And right here, the setup parry with the no FP carry and retaliation. I have to imagine the iframes aren't quite as good, or parry frames rather. This guy, one of the rare users of this Ghost Flame sword that actually uses the sword part. It's so rare that I see anyone use anything other than the Asher War. But this guy, he was actually quite the good player. We had a nice duel here. I just typically assume anyone co-oping isn't going to be good, so anyone who's decent always kind of catches me off guard. But, you know, fun fight with this guy. You know, he's smart, he learns, he saw his friend fall for his setup parry, and didn't do the same. He's going for backstabs, he definitely knows what's up. There's that R2 I was talking about earlier. You know, he's doing some clever things like using the Asher War and then going in it to heal up. It's not falling for setup parries. And this sword I definitely want to try out, but that requires making another build, so likely that happening anytime soon. Very, very low. And here, I catch his jump attack in the O flame. Didn't quite combo into an R2, but able to get him with the R2 roll catch. Hit him with a follow-up to finish. Also, it's right about time for me to say those YouTube things that I hate saying. Here we go. Like Shameless. I just started watching that show lately. It's pretty good. I'm only on the second season, probably about halfway through, but really good show. Fun moments, like oddly wholesome in some ways, but also really dark and kind of disturbing at times. I don't know, fun show. It's 12 seasons long, so it could fall off for all I know. So I'm not gonna fully endorse it yet, but people really like it. I'm enjoying it. Maybe you should check it out. All right, have a good one, guys.